Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. Hi, my name is Rosie, and thank you so much for taking a moment out of your busy day to spend a few moments with me. So for today's project, I'm going to be using this paper pad. I believe I got it from Michael's. I think it was from Michael's. It's by Craft Smart, and the name of the paper pad is Mint to Be. I got this quite a while ago. I loved the colors. It just reminded me of spring. So I'll give you just a real quick flip through to kind of check out the different papers, but it's just super springy. Okay, so what we're going to need for this project is we're going to need, now I'm using craft cardstock just because it's a lot thicker, and since this is a box, I wanted it to have a little bit more weight to it. Although you can use whatever you wish. If you want to use a colored cardstock, I would recommend that it's 110 and up, just again because of the sturdiness. So I'm using craft cardstock, so we're going to need one piece that is 6.5 by 6 3/4. Another piece that is 6.5 by 7 1/4, and then another piece that is 7 1/4 by 7 1/4, and two pieces of 9 by 9. So those are the pieces that we're going to be needing. And let's go ahead and start with the piece that is 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. That's going to be the lid of the box. So let's go ahead and put it in our scoreboard. We're going to score it at 1, 2, 5 1/4, and 6 1/4. So again, that's 1, 2, 5 1/4, 6 1/4. We're going to go ahead and turn it, and we're going to do the exact same scoring. So 1, 2, 5 1/4, and 6 1/4. So that's the lid. Why don't we do all our scoring now, since we have the scoreboard out, and I'm all about being as efficient as possible. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we're going to bring in our two 9 by 9 pieces. So let's go ahead and put in the first one. So on this one, we're going to make the following scores. It's at 1.5, 3, 6, and 7.5. So again, that's 1.5, 3, 6, and 7.5. Let's go ahead and turn it 90 degrees. And we're going to score exactly the same. So 1.5, 3, 6, and 7.5. Now we're going to do the exact same scoring on the other 9 by 9. Okay, so there are the two drawers. Okay, so now let's go ahead and bring in our 6.5 by 6 3/4, and we're going to put it in at the 6 3/4 side, and let's make a couple of score marks. So we'll do the first one at 1/2 inch, and then 3 5/8. So again, we have 1/2 inch and 3 5/8. Then we're going to turn it 90 degrees, and we're going to score at 1 5/8 and at 4 7/8. So again, we have 1 5/8 and 4 7/8. Now let's bring in our last piece of craft paper, and we're going to put it in at the 7 1/4 inch side, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch, 3 5/8, and 6 3/4. So again, that's a 1/2 inch, 3 5/8, and 6 3/4. Let's go ahead and turn it. And now we're going to do scores at 1 5/8, as well as 4 7/8. Okay, that's all the scoring that we need to do. So let's go ahead and get rid of the scoreboard. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to fold and burnish all of our pieces. Alright guys, so now let me bring in my smaller scissors. So now what we want to do is we're going to make some cuts on all of our cardstock. The first page that I'm bringing in is our 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. And I'll leave this up here for a second so you guys can get a good visual as to what the piece should look like. Now what we're going to do, and I will make this a lot easier on you so you know exactly where we're going to be cutting. Guys, I'm interrupting the video super quick to let you know that I've set myself a goal of attaining 500 additional new subscribers by the beginning of September. If you're interested in helping little old me out, please subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment down below so that I may thank you personally. I'm going to be hosting my very first giveaway around September that's going to be open to all visible subscribers. It's going to be a lot of fun, so don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Okay, enough about that. Back to the video. So, let me show you here. Hopefully that's coming out pretty well. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the 3 boxes on each corner. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, the way you do it doesn't really matter. It's really just a preference here as to, you know what, let me bring in my bigger scissors. Okay, and there. Okay. Okay, now that we have, this is what it should look like right now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to release the flaps on each corner so that we can adhere the sides. So what we're going to do is on the score line that's directly to the left and right hand side of these longer tabs, we're just going to cut up to the score mark. So like, okay, so basically we just cut up to here, and this releases this tab so that we can adhere the corners. That kind of makes sense. So again, just cutting from here to the score mark. And let's go ahead and do that to all sides. I know when I just started crafting, this for some reason was like so hard for me to get. Okay, so what we've done is we have kind of released these tabs so that we can go ahead and put our lid together. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to adhere here here on each corner with your adhesive, whatever adhesive you want to use. For me, I'm going to use double-sided tape because I don't want the glue to come undone. I use reptile glue and it's fantastic. But there's certain times where I might want to use double-sided tape. Now for this, I would not use Dollar Tree double-sided tape. If you're going to use tape, use the score tape because it is a lot more sturdier. So let's go ahead and remove the paper backing. Oh, I guess I should show you, huh? Okay, so this is what it should look like. So you have your tape on each of the flaps. I'm just going to release the paper backing, and I'm going to do, you can do 2 at a time, that's fine. Now just remember, if you are using score tape, guys, you want to make sure that it's lined up before you actually place it down because it will adhere pretty quickly. So, I tried to line it up, as you can see, as close to the edge as possible. Alright, we're going to go ahead and do the other side here. So here's our tape. We're going to fold it in and then join our 2 sides. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the same thing to the remaining. Alright, and let me go ahead and just release the paper backing to the last side as well. Okay. I'm going to fold this back. Now what I typically like to do is just kind of push this all the way back, both of them, just so it doesn't get in the way. So I usually just put my pinky on the other tab and then bring it in. That way there's less chance of it sticking to where it's not supposed to stick, if that makes sense at all. It's all these little things. Oh my gosh, my nail bits are horrid. Okay, so now you have something that looks like this. So let's go ahead, just pushing it down just so you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring this in. And what I'm going to do is, let me go ahead and use some tape on these flaps here, and that's purely just to make sure, you know, some people don't put any adhesive down. I like to, only because I really want to make sure that, you know, after you handle this, you know, this box a couple of times, you don't want it to lift up on you. But it's totally your preference, whatever you wish to do. So I'm going to use my score tape. There we go. And just do that. Okay, now what we're going to do, let's release the paper backing on, I'm going to do it on all 4 sides. Alright. Alright, I'm just going to push these out of the way. So I'm going to push one over and into the box. Try to make sure that you're folding really well on the score mark, because later on you want to make sure that it's totally straight, if that makes sense, because you're going to be lining these with more scrapbook paper and you don't want it to look lopsided. So there you have it. Now let's just do the other side. And here. Alright. Alright, so there is our lid. Doesn't look like much now, right guys? And honestly, this could be the beginning of a box. Once you have this form, there are tons of things that you can do. So let's go ahead and get started on the next phase. Alright, let's go ahead and bring in our 2 9x9 pieces. We'll work with the first one first. And what we're going to do is we will again remove the 3 boxes on all 4 corners. Okay, so I've marked an X on each of the boxes that we are going to remove. So I'll leave it there just for a second. If you want to take a picture, do a screenshot. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so this is what you should have now. And now, just like before, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make some slits. So I'm just going to mark it here for you. I'd like to give visuals as much as possible because I know that it helps. So again, we're going to be doing the exact same thing that we did before. We're going to make slits on either side of the larger tab, just up to the score mark. And we're going to do that on all 4 sides. Okay. And let's go ahead. And last one. Okay, so there we have it. We have our tabs, and again, this is what we're gonna be using to make our box. So basically like this, you bring it up and then there's your box. So again, you can see how just using this technique here, you can make any size box at all that you want. You can even bring it up, say at a 90-degree angle maybe, and have this sort of look. There's tons of things that you can do. But for right now, let's stay on track. I always lose sight and I'm thinking about different things when I'm working on something. My mind usually wanders. Does that happen to you? Or say you're working on a project and like out of the blue, you just start thinking about another project that you want to do while you're working on something else, mind you. And you start thinking, okay, well, what size should it be and this and that. I am a huge offender when it comes to that. That's why I like to keep a little book next to me so that when I start thinking about different ideas, I can just write it down super quick. And a lot of times it's just something that I'm thinking about. Others is when I see something, say at the grocery store or the pharmacy, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if I can make that. Okay, so what I did was I went ahead and I added double-sided tape to everything. So let me just kind of show you, and this is always just in an effort to be as efficient as possible. I lay down all of my double-sided tape, or usually it's just for the double-sided tape because with the glue you can't do that. But so let me start here. So this is our diagram at the moment. So here are our flaps. I added the double-sided tape there, and then you have to turn it over, and then you have double-sided tape here. Okay, let's go ahead and put this together. So I'm just going to release the paper backing to the 4 small box tabs. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our box together. So I'm just going to lift it up and align the corners. We want to make sure that the corners are as perfect as possible because you don't want your box to be lopsided. Okay, and then I'm just bringing up the side and lining it up, and the last one. Okay, so I like to just fold my box, these flaps backwards, just so that I can get a really good look at the box itself on the sides. Okay, let's go ahead and take off the paper backing from these flaps, and we'll go ahead and we will get these drawers all done. Okay, so there is one of our drawers. Now we're going to do the exact same thing to the other 9x9. Let's clean up first. Okay, let's start. Okay, now we have our two drawers and our lid. So now what we need to do is we need to bring in our last two pieces, and this is going to be for the side of the boxes. So you're going to have one that is 6.5, let me see, you're going to have one that's 6.5 by 7.25, the other one's going to be 6.5 by 6 3/4. We need to make a few cuts, so let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so let's start off with our 6.5 by 6 3/4. So what we want to do is we want to remove, this is our 1/2 inch piece here. We're going to go ahead and remove the two corner pieces first. So let's go ahead and remove those two corner ones. And then we're just going to angle cut this piece here. And the other side. Okay. Now what we want to do is, if you're looking at your piece like this, we want to cut here up to this score mark. So we're going to cut up to the first score mark that we see. And we'll do the exact same thing to the other side. Okay, so what you're left with is, if you're looking at it this way, you have your 1/2 inch here. We have separated these tabs on the side, like that. Now, let's go ahead and bring in our last piece. It's the 6.5 by 7 1/4. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to remove each corner here, and then we're going to angle cut our flaps. So let's go ahead and do the first part, which is removing each corner box. Now we just want to angle cut these two flaps. Okay, so now we have this. So what we want to do is, let's turn it this way, it might be easier. So our 1/2 inch pieces, our flaps, are on the left and right hand side. We're going to cut from here to the first score mark on both sides. Okay, so now again we've just released each tab. Now again we're making the sides to the box. So now what we want to do is we want to adhere, let's see here, this way. So you'll notice on one piece, let me see if I can show you. So on one piece we have the 1/2 inch piece, but nothing on this side. On the other piece we have a 1/2 inch on both sides. So what we want to do is we want to take the 1/2 inch score here, the flap, and attach it to here. And that's what's going to join both of our pieces. So let's go ahead and place some tape there or glue, whichever you're more comfortable. You know, whatever you want to do. This is your baby. You can place anything that you want. I'm merely just giving suggestions. I like to give suggestions and also why I do it. I'm one of those that whenever I give an explanation, I always like to give the why so the person knows it's not just me saying, well, this. I say why I do it, so hopefully it's better understood. Okay. So again, we're going to go ahead and we're going to join these two pieces together. We have glue on this side, and now I'm just going to line it up as best as possible to the other piece. Okay, so now we have done that. Now let's go ahead and what we're going to do is we are going to lift up these pieces and place them back. So let's see here. I'm going to place double-sided tape on our 1 inch. Oh, did it the wrong way. See? Okay. And let's place, I'm using a 1/4 inch double-sided tape. And I'm just going to fold it over on itself. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. That's okay that we have this part here. And actually, I am going to do the exact same thing to the other side. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to get all of these down. So let's see, maybe I'm going to try this now. I've never done this before on this project, so let's see how it comes out. If it doesn't work, then I will just not do it again. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just, as you can see, I'm just kind of layering it straight across. Oh, you know what? Okay, that's okay, that's okay. Because I know that I'm going to have to, the sides are going to have to be free, but that's okay. Let's see how we can fix that. Paper crafting is all about just going with the flow, right? Okay, since I need each of these tabs to kind of be free from each other, I'm just going to use my, you can use a pair of scissors or your finger blade just to separate. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just going down and releasing it. So, oops, so that they will be able to be more flexible. Okay, so there you have it. See, that's okay. We don't worry about all those things. You know what? We're always, it's inevitable that we're going to make mistakes, and I like to leave them in my videos because I want you to see that, you know, not only is it that, you know, we're going to make mistakes, but there's always a solution. And you know what? Even if there's not a solution, guys, it's okay. It's only paper. What's the worst? You've used up one piece of paper. That's it. So it's really not that big of a deal. So always be forgiving of yourselves. Okay, and I'm just going to take one, I'm going to work one side at a time. So here I've released it. I'm just going to fold it down, try to be as straight as possible, and do this side. Okay, and I'm just going to work all the way to the end. Alright guys, so now you have the sides to the box. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to adhere our two drawers. So essentially, it's totally up to you. What we need to do is place one on the bottom, see, like that. And if you do one on the bottom, the other one should be on the top. Just so, you know, they will fit. So essentially, let me see if I can hold this well. So when you close it, it'll be like that. Okay? So let's go, I'm going to go ahead and again, I'm going to bring in my double-sided tape, and we only need to add it to two sides. I saw, when I was on Pinterest, I've seen this project multiple times. I see it all the time on Pinterest. And it's always been one of those projects that I really, really want to make. And it just seems like, I'm like, okay, later. When I came across it this time, I was like, you know what? I've seen this so many times. Let's just make it. Alright, guys. So, now what we're going to do is we are going to attach the first one. So let's go ahead and remove the paper backing. Now, typically I would say remove just a little bit and then place it on, and then see once you're absolutely straight, then release the rest of the paper backing. But because it is really an awkward placement, I'm just going to have to place it all at once and hope for the best. So now my double-sided tape are on these two sides. So I want them to go on like this because I want it to be adhered to this side, and I'll do it at the bottom. Okay, let's see. I want to be in frame here, but let's see if I can do this. Okay. All right. Okay, and I'm just going to bring it so that I can use my bone folder to... I have my phone on, sorry guys, because I am waiting on a phone call. Alright, so the first one is on. So now since I placed this one here, I want to place the next one on the top. So let's go ahead and remove the paper backing. Okay. Okay, so now let's go ahead and just attach it to the top. So this part is trickier. I'm going to see if I can do this pretty well. Let's see. Placing it right on the top as you see, and I'm just going to press it down. Now I want to go ahead and do the other side. Let me see if I can show you guys a little bit better. Let's see, is that good? Alright, so now, perfect. Okay, now let's just use our bone folder to make sure that it's really well adhered down. Alright guys, so here it's taking shape. You can see now that our box, when it separates, you can see the two tiers for the box, and when it's closed, it just looks like a box like that. Now if we bring in our lid, it should hopefully fit. And there you have it. It almost kind of looks like an explosion, right guys? Kind of? Well, that's all I have for you guys today. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video, as I had so much fun making it for you. If you like this video, please smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you have, thank you so much, as it means the world to me, and really your support goes a long way in helping my channel out. So don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you're notified every time I I upload a new video. All right, guys, until the next time, stay safe, be kind, and keep it creative.